guys, what's going on today? In case you do not know, it is of course Blockbuster weekend, or Independence Day weekend, or 4th of July weekend, or whichever one you plan to choose. Anyways guys, I'm going to be reviewing some blockbusters, or big, dumb, stupid action or sci-fi films. And today I'm going to be talking about the film Lucy, which is absolutely one of those big, dumb action/sci-fi films. This film stars Scarlett Johansson as a very young, immature party girl named Lucy, who's a very dumb blonde character, and I'm using that because that's the metaphor they use, and it's literally shown at the beginning of the film. After getting involved with shady international mob men, she eventually gets synthetic drugs placed inside of her as part of an experiment. However, those synthetic drugs make her so powerful she's beyond human evolution. And after she receives this power, not only does she get smarter than basically everyone else within the first 15 minutes of getting it, but she decides to turn the tables on these guys and go after them for revenge. In 2016, people look on this film and kind of just take it for granted or kind of just like pass it off. But when this movie was coming out in 2014, like within the months of its release, I was excited for it, and I think most people were pumped for this movie. This film looks so cool. And not just because Scarlett Johansson's the lead, but the idea, the concept of this movie sounded brilliant to me. It was like, this could be a really, really smart movie. And I think all of my friends were excited to see this film. And at that time, it actually got some pretty good ratings, and now it's really subsided because people realize it's not really that great. Now I'm going to carefully explain to you why this movie is not that great. But before I do, guys, if you haven't seen Lucy, there are going to be brief spoilers. So if you haven't seen the film, you should check it out and come back to this review. I like to talk about the positives because I'm an optimist, and there are some pluses in this movie. For one, Scarlett Johansson is just great as always. I haven't seen a bad performance by her since Home Alone 3, but that's one of the most forgettable films of all time, so I'm not going to go back to that. However, in this movie, she is great. The transformation of her character is pretty good up until the last act of the film. I like that she has an arc. She's not the character that just remains static throughout the entirety of the film. There are some major changes for her character. Luc Besson is the director of this film, and he's made some great films in the past. Not a lot, but he's made a very good select few films, including Leon the Professional and The Fifth Element, both films I own on Blu-ray, which are fantastic to watch. And Lucy, like those films, includes strong female protagonists who love the guns, and there's of course a big operatic music scene. Besson also does a masterful job handling the action scenes, and I think all of his films, because they're very fluid. There's no real choppy editing in regards to the action. It all flows real nice, there's a real good wavelength of consistency, so that's really cool. Now guys, usually when I state problems in movies, they're problems that could be avoided easily when you watch it. You might not be thinking about it, but when you go in depth with it, it doesn't really make that much sense. But this is one of those films where my problems with it are things that simply can't be fixed. The biggest issue of this movie is when Lucy is able to unlock the recesses of her brain, as most people like to say that phrase, she becomes invincible. She is literally an immortal person by doing that.
Quiet.
Hey!
And by doing so, you can't really care about her when the action starts, because even though the action is shot very well, we're dealing with a character who just can't be matched. I could see what Besson was attempting to do. He was trying to make a smart movie, but then it was like he kind of just stopped and tried to turn it into a stereotypical big dumb action film, which is basically what it became the last act of the movie, which is where it failed for me. Once she develops telekinesis, it's like, why do I even care? Because she can literally lift guys up into the air. The best kinds of protagonists in films are the ones that have problems. The ones that have something about him or her that we can relate to. People like John McClane or Neo from The Matrix, those are characters who have problems. They're not perfect characters. They do a lot of cool things. They do things that people really can't do because it's so over the top and ridiculous, but they're not invincible characters. And the problem with Lucy is that our protagonist is that perfect invincible person that we really can't get behind. Now where it just ruined everything was the ending of the film, because it just was like so stupid. And I think most people who saw the movie thought, like, what? Oh yeah, this is actually really stupid. And for some people, they thought it was cool. I know a lot of people who really like the film Lucy and think it's a really cool movie that has a cool ending, but to me, it ruins everything because she's basically like a computer. There's no way to relate to this character. Morgan Freeman is in this movie, and whenever Morgan Freeman's in a movie, it always just lifts it up a grade for me because When that man talks, it's like, just be quiet. We need to hear him speak, because every word he says just turns into pure gold. And I liked him in this movie, even though you could tell he was basically playing Morgan Freeman, like the way he was playing Morgan Freeman in Transcendence. Lucy is a very fun film at times. Now you can absolutely sit back, turn your brain off like John Wick, and watch Lucy and think to yourself, you know, this is a fun, stupid movie. So in the end, guys, I'm not really a big fan of Lucy. When I first saw the movie, I enjoyed it, but when you start to think about everything that happens in the film, it just becomes less and less interesting and entertaining. And it just becomes very boring because we have a character who's invincible. So in the end, guys, I'm going to give Lucy a C-. While I was watching this movie, I couldn't help but think that this movie has a lot of similarities to the film Limitless starring Bradley Cooper. If you've ever seen Limitless, this is a very, very good movie. I really enjoyed watching this film, but there are so many parallels to this movie and Lucy that it's not even funny. So guys, what did you think about the film Lucy? I'd love to hear those comments, so send them in the comment section below. Guys, thank you so much for watching as always. I'm having a blast doing Blockbuster Weekend, even though I'm reviewing not so good films first. Guys, thank you so much for watching as always, and stay tuned.